So in today's video, I'm going to take you on a tour of my home office / studio. This is a video that many subscribers have asked for, so it's been long overdue. If you're new to the channel, in addition to being a YouTuber, I am also a professional software engineer, and I work and shoot in this one room. Very fortunate to have a relatively large room. This is about 45 square meters, which is something like 450 square feet, I think, for my American friends. And when we moved into this house, there was a building that wasn't complete, so it was supposed to be a two-car garage downstairs, and then I think like a living area upstairs. We turned the garage into a gym, the upstairs into my office studio, which is why I have as much space as I do. I'm very fortunate. So yeah, let's take a quick look around at the space. Okay, so here I have the desk that I shoot my videos at, and you can see there is the background that many of you are familiar with. We'll come back to that in a second. I have this little area here where I'm trying to teach myself electronics. I'm fixing my 3D printer at the moment. This is the area where I work from during the day, and we're going to dig into all the kit that I've got. Have this little area set up where I'm trying to get a little bit better at shooting B-roll and product shots. And you can see these removable audio panels. I've got two of them, they're on wheels, and I use those just to kind of keep the sound quality as good as I can, reduce the echo, because this is quite an echoey room. And then back where I was stood before, I have like my post area, see all my machines for my NAS build, beer fridge, very important, and then my very messy server rack and coffee area. But let's go over to the desk now and see what it is that I use every day for my work. So before I dive into the tour of the office, I want to say one quick thing. I'm going to show quite a lot of gear in this video, and I will put links to it below. Please, though, do not feel compelled to buy anything that I show you. Most of the things I'm showing, I haven't tried the alternatives for, so I'm not going to make any strong recommendations for these things. So just bear that in mind. Like, I've got a monitor, but I haven't tried thousands of monitors. I've got a dock, I haven't tried thousands of docks. So most of these things are not recommendations, they're just the things that I'm using. Let's dive in. Okay, so here we are. This is the desk that I work at pretty much every day. And it is the absolute standard YouTuber desk, the IKEA Carby kitchen counter. I just had these sit-stand legs. I've had them for years, so I attached it to that. This is a really solid workstation, so you can screw things to it. I've screwed plenty of things to it. Very, very solid. It's very long. The biggest downside of this desk, which you may have heard in many YouTuber videos, is it's very shallow. So you don't get a lot of space to put extra things in kind of the depth dimension. So I got hold of this amazing monitor riser. I found this on GroveMade. The GroveMade people did send me that for free, which is very kind of them. And they also sent me this amazing drawer to go with it where I can keep myself organized. Obviously got my package knife for keeping things, getting things open, and a few spare cables, which is great. If you're interested in buying any of these GroveMade products for yourself, then you can use the code TechCraft10 for 10% off on their website, or you can use the affiliate link in the description below. Thank you so much, GroveMade, for supporting the channel. If you're paying attention, you'll see I have two 14-inch MacBook Pros here. One of these, the bottom one, is supplied by my day job, and I use that for my coding work, and the other is my personal laptop that I use for YouTube editing and so forth. I work in a security conscious environment, so I have to have a laptop that's particularly locked down. On top of the stand here, I've got the 34-inch wide 5K, 2K screen from LG. This is an amazing monitor. I don't think you can get it anymore, which is kind of sad. If you're on the Mac, then having a 5K monitor is particularly useful because of the way the scaling works. You get UI elements that look good. They're not too big, they're not too small. On 4K screens, you're either too big or you're too small. So if you're getting a monitor for your Mac, get a 5K one. They do also a non-widescreen version, which my wife has, and I'll overlay a picture of that right now. Another good option if you can find them. Both seem really hard to get hold of. So I connect the MacBook Pros to the monitor through this Sonnet Echo 11 Thunderbolt 4 dock. This is relatively new. I've had no problems with it so far, so if you are looking for Thunderbolt 4 dock, it's pretty good. My colleague also has the CalDigit Thunderbolt 4 dock, which he thinks is great, so two good choices there. I had a bunch of Thunderbolt 3 docks previously, had no end of problems with them. This has been great. What I have found, if you get one of these and you're using a 14-inch MacBook Pro, the ports on the left-hand side work better than the ports on the right-hand side. I don't know why. Then everything connects into my dock. So I've got my keyboard, my mouse, which is a wireless wired mouse, and we'll get to that. For audio, I'm using the Scarlett Solo just as an audio interface, and I have these two Yamaha HS5 studio monitors. These are good speakers. They're not going to give you the best sound. They're supposed to be for like audio grading and things like that. They allow me to cosplay as being a serious video audio professional. They're overkill. I keep thinking every day I'm going to downgrade to something small that doesn't take up so much desk space. Keyboard wise, I'm using this GMMK Pro. This was kind of like a kit mechanical keyboard. So you choose the switches, you choose the keycaps, you choose the cables, but it's a simple assembly process. If you're looking to get into building your own keyboard, this is a good setup. It was very expensive in the UK though. I think I paid like nearly £350 for the kit. I'd wanted it for a long time, so I had to pull the trigger on it. I think you have to really want it though, to be able to spend that amount of money on it. This is wired into the Echo 11 dock, and then obviously it goes into the monitor and the Max. I'm using this Logitech. This is one of their pro gaming mice. I can't remember the model number. I'll link it in the description below. The nice thing about these pro gaming mice is they don't use Bluetooth. They use their own wireless connection. So there's a dongle in the back of the dock here. Way less hassle than Bluetooth, way more responsive. This is super light. I really like using that. I don't use the mouse a lot, but that has really helped because I get significant RSI. That has really helped. In terms of desk accessories, the most important thing for me is this kind of woolen desk pad that I can rest my wrists on and just feels nice during the day. Again, another Grove made product, and also this is one that they sent me. I have a bunch of other Grove made products on this desk that I bought myself. This little tray for little knickknacks. This is my security token. If you haven't got one of these, it's so good. Rather than having like a two-factor number stored in your phone, you can have these little physical tokens, really increase your security. I'll do a video on that if you're interested. This is supposed to be a planter for a plant, but I haven't got one, so just those are my magnets that I have to play with during the day. All of the Grove made stuff is really nice. It goes really well with the Calbee desktop. I do have their pen pot as well, which I find really useful. A couple of interesting gadgets on the table I think people might have noticed. I have this 3D Connection SpaceMouse, which I use for CAD. This really takes some learning, but if you do a lot of CAD like I do SketchUp and Fusion 360 and things like that, it's super useful. I don't use it a lot because I'm doing less and less of that, but when you are doing that kind of work, it's excellent. I also have the StreamDeck from Elgato. Again, I'm not using that as much as I'd like at the moment, and I'm custom programming it, so I'm not using the built-in app for the Mac. I've built my own buttons for it, but it's really, really handy. You can do things like join my next video call or mute every mic on the system so that no one can hear me and things like that. I find it super useful for that. The other thing I have that I use all the time is this DaVinci Resolve Speed Editor. So I use DaVinci Resolve for editing all of my videos for YouTube. This is great to get the rough cut of every video. Just use the little knob to turn through the source material, and you can switch different camera angles and so forth. If you're a DaVinci editor and you haven't got hold of this, it's really worth getting hold of. And then probably the only final thing of note on this desk is the webcam. I use the Logitech Brio 4K. It's absolutely fine. That's about as much as I'll say for it. It's a perfectly okay webcam. Okay, that's the desk. Let me take you over to the shooting area now, which is where I shoot all my videos from. Okay, so this is the view that I see when I'm shooting, and I have a little teleprompter here. I don't use that all the time. I find it kind of quite hard to be reading naturally while using a teleprompter, but when I'm doing tutorials, I find that very, very useful. The camera I'm using as my main camera for shooting is a Canon C70, and the camera that I'm shooting this on today, this one here, is a Canon R5C, both of which are massively overkill for what I do, but I really do like cameras, which is part of the reason why I do the YouTube channel, so it gives me a perfect excuse. I have this little vanity monitor up here so I can kind of see what the picture looks like when I'm shooting. This is a television that I bought in 2012, I think, and it's still working perfectly well. Samsung, well done. I have, as you can see, a large selection of iPads and Samsung tablets kicking around on this desk that I use for testing and various things during the shooting process. I do have a Logitech G915 keyboard that I use when I'm typing on my demos, and the thing that I hate is Apple trackpad. I bought it and can't throw it away, so I use it for shooting. In terms of gear, I use an aperture light. I can't remember the model number. Again, I'll link that below. This dome, you can't even see the whole dome in this shot, is so big. It does give very nice diffuse light, but I think it's a bit of an overkill again, but I really just like camera kit, so I bought it. The desk is a custom built desk. A friend of mine made it for me. Absolutely amazing. Really, really like it. The thing that I think is most important for shooting a YouTube video, as I learned early on when my audio was terrible, is good audio. I'm using the Shure SM7B microphone. Normally, today I'm shooting on a Rode Wireless Go 2, so hopefully audio is okay. This is an excellent mic, really love it. These mics need extra power. They can't plug them directly into a camera or anything like that. So I'm using a DBX286 channel strip to get that working, which is really great. And I can do a little bit of pre-processing on the audio before it goes into the camera, but generally everything runs straight into my camera. That's one of the nice things about having the C70. So something I added to the office recently is this area here where I do my electronics work. Electronics is not a skill of mine, so I'm trying really hard to learn more about this because I want to build more electronics-centric Raspberry Pi and single board computer projects. And at the moment though, I've been doing a ton of upgrades to my 3D printer, so I just kind of completely replaced the hot end and some of the motors and the main board and new firmware and new bed. It's been a massive upgrade. really do like 3D printing. So the final piece of the studio office that I want to talk about is this, the kind of coffee area slash parcel space. I do have a coffee machine here that I bought, but I never use it because I really hate it. So I end up just using these kind of like coffee bags when I'm in the office. They're not the best coffee, but if I want a good coffee, I've got an espresso machine in the house. And I do have a server rack, but again, following my principles of cable management, it's an absolute mess in there. And what I'm most interested about at the moment is this. I'm building a new NAS, which will probably have to go somewhere next to the server rack. So if you're interested in NAS and storage and computer builds and things like that, I will do a video about this. So please like and subscribe if that's your kind of thing. So there we go. This is my office. This is my studio. This is where I do my hobbies. This is where I spend most of my time. I hope you found this video useful and I hope you found it at least a little bit entertaining. If so, please hit like, please hit subscribe, and maybe hit the bell as well so you don't miss out on any future content. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video.